everyone, and welcome to episode 58 of the Warm and Cozy Home Games Podcast. Today is November 30th, 2020. My name is Joseph, and this is Yazeed.
Hello.
And today we're going to talk about some home game stuff, and that home game stuff is mostly related to me being a fool and spending a bunch of time on AWS search service stuff and moving out of that and what I'm doing now. Spent some time looking into different ways to deploy this certifier service, certificate generation service stuff that I've been working on with some very painful stuff there. And then Yazeed has some color tech updates that we are going to talk about. But before we get to that, what's up, Yazeed?
Let me tell you a story.
Okay.
Since 2 weeks ago, I've put 30 hours into Stellaris.
Is that a lot by comparison to before?
I've played 240 hours of Stellaris in total.
Okay.
And I lost.
After 30 hours?
After 30 hours of playing, and I've lost. Which means that I have to scrap everything and start over again.
What's making you want to start over again?
The game's so fun.
But is it because you want to, like, have you won before?
I've won one time out of like 20 attempts.
Okay.
And it was the time right before this attempt is actually when I won.
At what point in your 30-hour journey do you start to realize maybe you're not going to win this one?
For me, it was in the last hour. So 29 hours in, and I was like, there's a chance I can win this. All right. The last hour, I'm managing this whole like system during like a crazy galactic war, right? There's like, it's literally like everybody against everybody. It's like 50% of the galaxy against 50% of the galaxy. So there's like a lot of stuff to like micromanage. And while I was doing that, I was moving all of my fleets to one star system so I could end the war basically, right? Like I could do it. I had the power to do it. And as I was stacking fleets, I looked away to do something else, and I got a notification that one of the enemy fleets entered that star system, and I couldn't take on their main fleet except for with all of my fleets together. And so they basically just like ripped apart 4 of my 5 fleets, leaving with 1 left. So the last hour that happened. And so I was like, I don't know if I can like keep playing this out. But as the last hour like ticked through, I was like, I can't win this thing. Like it's over. Like it's just gonna be like a slow bleed out. I don't have the time to rebuild 4 fleets, and the 1 fleet I have isn't anywhere near enough.
When does Cyberpunk come out?
Soon.
Because I'm asking because I don't know if you have, like, are you gonna go for another 30-hour run in this thing and then hopefully finish before Cyberpunk, or are you gonna play Bug Snacks or something until Cyberpunk comes out?
I played Minecraft. I've started playing League of Legends, but only with other people. So I don't play by myself anymore. And then I was playing Stellaris. So I was trying to I'm just trying to kill time until that game comes out. I think I'd probably have like 30 hours until that game comes out.
Did you play the new World of Warcraft thing?
No, I only played Classic.
Do you not care about the new World of Warcraft thing?
Nah, retail is kind of boring to me. It had been for like the last couple of years. Basically, like Classic was like hard, where like everything was difficult. Whereas like modern World of Warcraft is like a lot of it is just like you're checking boxes until you get to the fun stuff, which I don't like.
Yeah, I don't know. I just saw that in the BattleNet launcher for Call of Duty this past week. It was like, hey, World of Warcraft available now. It's like, oh shit, I know a nerd who might be into that.
No, I have no idea. People on, I think Zach actually, one of our friends, he plays a lot of World of Warcraft, and he told me it was not good. So I'm gonna take his word for it without ever trying it.
Great.
But I also unsubscribed from World of Warcraft, so I would have to resubscribe, pay $15 a month, play the game again. I'm not gonna do that.
Yeah, it's kind of nuts. I was thinking hypothetically down the road, if we had some sort of premium subscription model to have a home games server running all the time or whatever, what would a reasonable cost be for that? Like, we would ideally have to have a really like solid, stable, valuable product for people to feel like it's worth any sort of money. But I mean, what would be like a reasonable price? And in my head, I was like, $10 a year. That feels like a not punch in the face. But then asking $15 a month for your video game, that's insane.
Minecraft, to set up realms, like their hosted service, is $8 a month. To give you another idea.
Yeah, there's a bunch of work that goes into what they're offering. It's not like they're just giving you a server or something, but it is crazy to think about that number on a yearly basis. Like, you're paying $100 a year for Minecraft.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, the other option is that you run your server yourself, right? Which does cost money, and it's on its own. It costs me electricity and bandwidth.
Yeah, but that cost to you is probably $4, and like the bandwidth cost is not, unless you're going over a quota or something from your ISP. There's no real like monetary cost to you, right?
No, I mean, basically, I'm just paying for electricity. But the other problem with it is, like, if people want to play after I go to sleep, I have to leave my computer running. Or if people want to play while I'm working, I have to like turn on my computer and set the server up. Whereas with Realms, it's like I don't have to worry about that. They can log in whenever, because it's not my, like, I'm just paying for this Azure service basically.
Right. But if you were doing it yourself, it would probably cost you like $4, $3 a month. Like an actual...
it would in terms of money, but it would also cost me some mental energy that Realms doesn't.
I know. I'm just saying the leap to $8 is saying that $4 is like your mental energy cost.
Yeah.
And it seems like a high number. I guess just as
$4
anybody...
a month is not that high.
$4 a month?
Yeah, if we're assuming $4 a month is the electricity cost, then it's another $4 a month for mental energy. I think $4 a month for mental energy is realistic.
Yeah, that depends on the person, because like my mom used to drive across town trying to find the cheapest gas, and she would waste $20 in gas trying to save $10 on gas. So it's not about that for everybody. It's like just I don't know. I guess I'm saying offering a video game for any sort of money or video game service for any sort of money is crazy.
Yeah. It is kind of wild. Like, a lot of games are just free to play. Like, League of Legends is free to play. You don't have to pay a monthly subscription for it.
Yeah, but also just buying games. The whole games as a service thing, and obviously there's a cost to World of Warcraft because they have to maintain their servers and they have to do all these updates and whatever. Like, it's a living thing. It's not just a game that you buy. But that $15 a month for World of Warcraft seems like a very high number. And it seems like the kind of thing where the people who are going to pay for World of Warcraft are going to pay for World of Warcraft, and you're not trying to get someone like me at $15 a month, because it's just, to me that's just so much money.
Yeah, actually, like, the problem I think now is that you don't even have to pay if you play enough. So you can like buy game time, like you can buy like a month using in-game currency now.
Mm-hmm.
But that means you are playing that game in order to pay for the next month of that game. Which means that, like, me, who doesn't play as much, or plays Classic, which doesn't allow me to pay for the month, I'm basically like subsidizing the cost for those people, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that's a weird. I'm sure it's got to be tough for someone who wears a suit at Blizzard, just deciding how to keep monetizing World of Warcraft is the free game thing keeps changing.
Nah, man, they 100% know what they're doing. It's the problem is that people who play World of Warcraft play it like super religiously, and they're like super invested into it. Because like part of the pull for that game, like when I was really into World of Warcraft, the pull for that game wasn't just the game. It was also like you make friendships in that game. I don't know if this is still true, but you make like friends in that game, and like because you play with these people like 2 times a week for like hours, and you like struggle with them, and you succeed with them, and you fail with them, and you deal with drama with them, and it's like a community thing. It's fun, and that's kind of like what I think some of the people are paying for in that regard.
That makes sense. I don't know. To me, the world where you can meet people online and like become their friends is not a thing I think is possible in my life like anymore. Like I used to have friends. I would call them friends, people I met on Xbox and whatever, and that was probably worth the money to me. But at this point, it's like I'm not trying to meet someone on World of Warcraft to hang out. You know what I mean?
It was a lot easier back in the day because you were locked to your server, so you'd literally see the same like 50 people every day. Yeah. You'd be like, "Oh, I'm gonna play and like see what's going on," and you'd have to like say the same thing in chat, like looking for more people for this thing, and it's the same 50 people who are seeing your message, and you're like, "I recognize that guy. He ran this with me like 2 months ago. Like he's good. I'll get him in here." Or like, "Oh, I know this guy. Like he has a reputation for being a shitty person. It's like he doesn't go with us."
That's kind of cool, though.
That was back in the day, and that's what I think was like the best time for World of Warcraft. Is when it's like when you played with the same people, you saw them, and it was like a living, breathing thing where you interacted with them. That was fun. But like now, I don't know anybody on any server that I've been playing with. Like you just jump servers and like you jump instances or shards or whatever they call it. It's just like you have no sense of that anymore. That's why I like Classic so much. Like that goes back to the original of like I see the same like 15 people. Some of them have helped me before. Some of them I've helped before. It's like I remember this person.
Right.
Yeah.
Do you think that in the future that's going to be more of a like? Do you think they're going to move closer to the localized groups of friends or whatever, or move closer to the just meet randos, play with randos, or your friends, but no in between?
I think it'll be more like Among Us, right? Where on Among Us you can play with randoms, or like you can play with your friends and fill with randoms, or you can play only with your friends. Like I think that model's the best model to have, and I'd like to see more games adopt that. Like if World of Warcraft adopted that, that'd be like World of Warcraft kind of adopted that, and I think it'd be kind of sick if they made that like more of a thing.
In my experience, like with something like Gears of War has a smaller player base, I would guess, than World of Warcraft. I'm pretty confident in that guess, but I don't know what they're doing or how it works. But I see the same people pretty often in the lobbies that I'm in. And Gears of War is a huge game, but there are people who I recognize, and it's weird because sometimes you'll remember them and they'll remember you, and then you'll like talk again, and it's kind of that same thing. And that stuff to me is maybe the only case where I actually enjoy playing with randos, because they're actually not randos. Like I kind of know them.
You kind of when you've like ran into them enough times that you're like, this guy likes to snipe from this spot. you counter snipe them, and it becomes like a game with. Yeah, I love that stuff. Like I think that's like the best way to play games, like to play with people you know.
But I don't know these people.
You kind of do if you've played with them enough, though. Like you don't know them personally, but you know like the way that they play. You know, like kind of like sometimes like the way that they think about the game.
Yeah, it's just so bizarre because I don't really have insight into how many people play Gears of War, but I think it's a lot. So I don't know why I'm seeing the same person in the same lobby, unless it's just that the actual player base is so much smaller than I think it is, or it's doing something based on skill and no one is as good as me. So
yeah, I think you have a high like ELO rating or like a high matchmaking rating, and you probably play with people with equally high matchmaking ratings, which means that you probably play with the same people a lot.
That makes sense in ranked though, not in player matches. Anyway, I guess it's just interesting. I don't know. Kind of like in the bubbles thing we were talking about earlier. If you have like a different social bubble and you're into different things, and you can have a party where you talk to only people that you know and like, what's the value of being able to play with people you don't know? Like that's not. No one cares about that. Like actually talking to people they don't know, or do they? I don't know.
I think that the reason that you allow for adding in randoms is just for ease of matchmaking. It's like, right, like imagine like CSGO, right? You're at a huge disadvantage in CSGO if you're missing a player on your team. If it's like 5 versus 4, that's a huge disadvantage for the 4.
Yeah.
So just being able to fill with a random person, even if it's like somebody who you don't really care about, having a random person is like 50% of the way to the 5, basically.
Yeah, I guess I'm saying if that were not a person but a bot, would the team of 4 care at all, or would they be?
I think a bot would get absolutely shreked.
Yeah, let's say that the bot was as good as a person. I know that's very hard to be that, but let's just say in terms of the actual points they're contributing, it's similar to a person.
Yeah, I think people would rather play with a bot then, because they don't have like a reason to pretend to be friendly with that bot.
Social obligation.
Yeah, they don't have like a social obligation, but because of how difficult / impossible it would be to get a bot to be that good and coordinate with other players,
yeah,
I think you're better off with just filling with a random person and going for it.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess I'm just thinking about the social aspect of all that kind of stuff. Like, remember PlayStation Home? It was basically like it was like a Second Life type thing, but for PlayStation users. You just walk around and your avatar talks to other people's avatars. You talk and chat, and there's no game. You can like go play pool with people in these virtual areas, but the whole point was socializing, and that just seems insane to me. Like, I don't think people want to socialize on the internet, but that's just me in my bubble. Yeah. I don't know about general people.
I don't know. Like, do you remember like how popular Uno was on Xbox?
Yeah.
Like, I don't think that would be as popular as it is today. Because I think the other thing too is like, I think it goes back to like the shared experiences thing, because you have so many options to play. Like, you could play Gears of War, you could play Call of Duty, you could play on your computer, you could play The Last of Us 2, you could play, I don't know, like Pokemon Go. Like, there's so many options for games now that like there isn't like a game that like everyone plays anymore. Whereas like Call of Duty, when that one was really popular, everybody played Call of Duty. When Halo was really popular, everybody played like, you could be like, oh man, like I play Halo, this is my favorite map, these are my favorite guns, and people would be like, oh, I have an opinion on that because like I play those maps, I play with those guns, and like and stuff like that. So I think that like but yeah, I don't know, man. I think having the ability to add in a random person to a group is valuable just to save time. Because sometimes it's impossible. Like, if you only have 4 friends who play CSGO, how do you get a 5th person? Do you force a 5th person to play? Do you troll the forums? Do you go to the subreddit? Do you find a Discord? Do you post a Craigslist ad? Like, how do you find a 5th person to play with?
Well, of course, there's other options and stuff like that, and having a random person is nice. I don't imagine a lot of these random matchups result in anything positive for the people involved, because it's one person playing with randoms, and then they're grouped up with a team who doesn't want this person on their team. They just needed this person, and so this person has no... But just the whole thing of like having a mic on while doing random anything online, to me, always goes bad.
Yeah, I mean, like 90% of the time, I think 99.99% of the time, it's just not gonna ever be good. But it's it's close enough to functional, if that makes sense. You can play the game competitively with a random person. Yeah.
Close and there's always that like is a pretty great description of a lot of the things I build for home games. And Yazeed froze. Oh, Rest in peace, Yazeed.
Oh. Am I okay?
No, he came back.
Hey, okay, all right.
Oh God, he froze again. I can hear and see you now. It just looks like shit.
Oh, that's normal.
I think you're good. I think you're back.
All right. I was gonna ask you though, like, what about you? What games have you been playing lately?
So I've been playing Call of Duty. I beat the single player of Black Ops Cold War or whatever. I actually liked that quite a bit. It was different from Modern Warfare, and it had like the kind of branching story paths and side missions, and they tried to add interesting things in the single player, which I liked. It was super short. I probably will never play it again. It also it's interesting. It kind of runs like shit. So I was realizing that, well, one, there's just bugs, and there's clearly like errors where they could have taken some more time to polish things up to make sure that certain things didn't happen. But one thing that I've really noticed is loading times. And then I realized this game is on the Xbox One, the PlayStation 4, the PlayStation 5, the new Xbox, and PC. And on the new consoles, they have like NVMe SSDs. So they're just super fast, and the games are designed to have a certain, resources available to load within a given time frame. But Call of Duty does this thing where between levels, they'll play these cinematics, and the cinematics will be like 30 seconds long or whatever. And I think they're designed hoping that the consoles will load the level before that thing is done, because they probably can. They're running on super crazy SSDs. My PC, I have the game installed on a magnetic drive. So for me, most of the time, it would finish the cinematic, and then it would be like 10 seconds of chugging. And you're just like, did it crash? And then the little loading thing will come up and be there for 20, 30 seconds. And I just thought it was really strange how PC gaming, you can have everything better on paper, but then like, oh yeah, but I don't have this game on an SSD, so it's kind of just worse than the console experience, and that console costs $400. It's a weird thing with PC gaming. It's like, yeah, but it's better.
Yeah, no, like the PC gaming thing was always kind of funny to me, because like, I didn't realize this when I was like, even like 2 years ago, but like having a high-end computer is expensive. Having a console is pretty cheap for what you're getting. Like comparable hardware for a PC build is like, that's a couple $1,000 that you have to like put together and make sure that it all actually works together. Like, does your motherboard support that processor?
You're frozen again. Okay, you're back. You're pixely, but you're back.
Okay.
What were we saying? Oh, Call of Duty, PC gaming.
Oh, I was just saying, like, it's very expensive to build a PC that's like comparable to a console, because in reality, it's like you have to get a motherboard and a case and like all this, like, and the processor and the graphics card and the RAM and the network card and the sound card. It's like, that's a lot of stuff to get.
Yeah, and you'll see that on Linus Tech Tips. I don't know if you watch this stuff, but he'll do videos of building a console or building a PC for $400, for $500. Basically, with the same money that you're spending on a console, you can get this as a PC. And the PCs they build are always just fine. They're like showing Rocket League at 70 FPS. Like, huh? You're just like, no, dude. Like, this is not at all comparable to a PlayStation 5 or an Xbox, whatever the hell. And yes, you can make a better PC, but it does not cost anywhere close to the cost of a console. And I just thought it was interesting. I have an i7 from a few years ago. I have a 2080 Ti. I have all this other kind of stuff. My PC on paper everywhere except for the NVMe drive is better. But that one thing is kind of a huge deal, and I don't really care about the 4K resolution on my textures instead of a 1080 textures or whatever. The game runs like shit. Like, it loads like shit. So I don't know if I'm actually that into PC gaming. Because if I look at my interest in video games and my interest in PC gaming, they kind of, like, my interest in games really took a nosedive as I got more interested in PC gaming. I was more interested in the, like, in the collection aspect and less into the playing games aspect. So I just got into Steam, and I was like, oh, I have hundreds of games, and I can play all these games, and oh, look at all the, like, I got them all for $1. But I didn't actually play any of them. I hate games more than ever. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I understand that part, I think.
Yeah. I also played a game called Terminator Resistance. That's been really, like, my most surprising game, I think, of the year. So I didn't even hear when this came out. I have no idea when it came out. I have no idea who made it or why. Probably for the movie that came out recently. I don't know. But basically, at the beginning of this year, like February or March, I found this game online called Terminator Resistance, or found this game on Steam, and it was like $30, and it was a first-person shooter, and I saw some reviews, and the reviews were like, it's pretty good. Like, it's a budget-type game, but it's pretty good. It's not, as polished as something like a Call of Duty or whatever, but you really shouldn't expect it anyway. So anyway, bought it, played it for like an hour in March, and then stopped, and then picked it up again past couple weeks and started just playing it more. And basically that game is like Fallout without exploration. So imagine if, when you like think Fallout 3, and it was when you're leaving the vault in the beginning and you have to go to that first town with the two-headed cow and the nuke and all that stuff. If instead of going out into the open world and then finding that town, it was just door to town, like the load screen took you to the town. It was very like imagine it's like a streamlined thing. I guess it's just the missions and the people, and you talk to them, and you have a lockpicking skill and a hacking skill. There's really different skill trees, and you have conversations with people, and you can lie to them, and all this other kind of stuff. And the whole game is you're just this dude killing Terminators. It's Terminator, so the story's like completely up its own ass, and just time travelers talking to themselves and shit. It's fucking stupid. But the game is actually really fun. That you shoot robots and you can upgrade your weapons and, you know, whatever, all that kind of stuff. It was maybe 8-9 hours long, and I finished it. And I just thought it was really, really enjoyable. Like I said, Fallout without the exploration, and sometimes if you're just trying to get like the story and stuff, that's really all you need. One thing I think was really strange. So like I said, you can talk to people, and you have your little line of dialogue that your person will read and whatever. And in the last hour of the game, and the story ramps up, so you can definitely feel when you're almost at the end of the game. And I was talking to one female character, and one of the speech options or the text options, whatever, just had a little heart next to it, and I didn't know what that meant, but I just hit it, and then the next thing, it just cut to a sex scene. Like sex started happening. Like 8.5 hours into the game, I was like, what the fuck? I didn't know this was a thing. And also, it just looks choppy and awkward and weird the way any sex scene in a video game is. And it's all first person. So.
No.
And so I did that. It was like, that was really strange that there was no warning that was about to happen. You know, like putting a little heart icon next to something doesn't make me think I'm going to fuck something immediately after, you know? So that was weird. And then it happens again with another female character like 10 minutes later. So it's like they rushed all their weird sex options at the end of the game, and then it's over. Whatever. I really enjoyed it. It was a fun game. I want to go back and get all the achievements.
All I can imagine is some poor schmuck was like, they were like, okay, and you make the sex scenes, and it's like, okay, and they're like, make it first person. It's like, all right. Here's your reference material. They just drop.
I don't know who's into that. Like I never really have been a fan of the love options in those games.
I can tell you who's into that. Apparently in Cyberpunk there's going to be sex scenes, and you can customize your genitals, and people are very excited for those two options put together. Why are they very excited for those two options put together? They're just weird people, man. I don't know. I'm just probably gonna like power skip through that. Like, why would I want to watch that?
Yeah, I don't. I saw that thing on Twitter or whatever, where someone was like, "Are we gonna be able to have sex with the whatever?" And a really in-depth question, and the developer responded with like just a weirdo reaction face
Jeff
or something.
Bridges, like, what is wrong with you thing?
Yeah. Yes, yeah, that was it. So I don't know. Like in Mass Effect, I never cared. I never played The Witcher, so I don't know. But that stuff is so weird to me. I don't.
Yeah, I'm just out here trying to play a game, man.
Yeah.
Apparently I don't know if you even know what the series is, but there's the Baldur's Gate. Have you ever heard of it? Yeah. Okay, cool. Yeah, so the new Baldur's Gate apparently is going to have pretty explicit sex scenes, from what I've heard about that game.
Nice.
And I was like, why? That game is like a top-down Diablo style. Like, all I ever see about my character is like the back of their head, really.
Yeah.
And now I'm supposed to be like, and then they boned the skeleton
Baldur.
lady.
Hardly know her. Yeah, that's weird. Whatever.
But
People can
speaking of like weird sex scenes and stuff, I started watching the rock climbing anime.
The one that you said would not be sexual at all?
I didn't say it was going to be sexual. This is anime.
I said that this is going to be full of upskirts of girls climbing rocks, and you were like, nah, I don't know. But
it's not. There are no upskirts of girls climbing rocks. However, they definitely take their, let's say, they need to go to horny jail, is all I'm saying, all right? They definitely, like, use angles that are like, check out this lady's booty, and also look how big her boobs are, and you're just like, she's, like, 15. I'm not gonna. And also, like, I'm into this for the rock climbing, not for that. But it's pretty interesting. The show has some, like, moments in it where I was like, dang, I wish somebody could tell me this when I was first starting to rock climb. And other things where it's like, this lady is legitimately first day climbing stuff that I couldn't climb even after a whole year of rock climbing. So
there's like legitimate
kind of all over the place.
There's like legitimate tips and info and stuff, or like,
yeah,
what is it about?
Basically, there's like this. I'll give you the full rundown. Because I'm on episode like 8. So this lady, this girl, she's like in high school. She's like walking through school and being like, oh, maybe I should join a club. And then she finds the rock climbing club, and they show her a little bit. And when they're doing and if they showed her a little bit, legitimately that scene, she climbs higher numbers and like higher grades than I could climb after a year of climbing. And I was just like, okay, clearly these people don't know how rock climbing actually works. But then they have like moments where they're talking about like bouldering, and she gets afraid when doing like outdoor climbing, and her friend tells her like, you're afraid because you don't think your grip strength is strong enough to like hold you, and you're afraid of falling. And it's like, dang, I wish somebody told me that, because that it is true about what I was doing. And also they do like, sometimes they do specify like they did a drop knee here, which is basically like you turn your knee in so that you can get a little bit higher reach vertically. And it's like they do some of that, but mostly it's just like way over the top anime style rock climbing. But I still like it quite a bit. I'm gonna watch the show finish.
What's the villain?
I don't know if there really is a villain, but there's like competitions. So she's doing sports climbing, which is basically she's doing the 3 disciplines, which is like bouldering, speed climbing, and then like lead climbing. So right now I'm doing the bouldering arc, where they're doing a bouldering competition. I don't know if they're like really the villain, but one of the other high school girls is like a spider person, and she acts like a weird spider person. She's a regular human person, but like they made her look like a spider, and she makes like weird noises and like awkward body movements like a spider does. It's very odd. And another one is like a panther. She moves kind of like a panther does. Anyway. The show is a little bit weird and anime-y, but I like the overall rock climbing vibe.
Sick.
Yeah.
How many is it seasons, or like is it this show?
I think it's one season and it's done. Okay. So it's like I'm on episode like 7 of 12 or 13 episodes. So but the show's not done being released yet. So once I hit like episode 10, I have to wait to watch episode 11, and then a wait for 12 and a wait for 13 if there is a 13.
Yeah.
But that show made me want to rock climb again. So starting next week, I'm going to start getting back in rock climbing shape for the hopeful eventual I'll be able to climb again.
Yeah.
I'm very excited.
Well, speaking of anime, I still have not found a replacement for Rent-A-Girlfriend. I haven't been looking because last week for my video content, I watched the Dave Chappelle Joe Rogan interview, but
wait, they did an interview together?
Or a podcast, yeah.
Holy moly.
I know.
What is going on? I've like fallen off the Joe Rogan train, and you're like all about it.
Well, I am often in need of like just long form conversation content, just long podcasts. So Joe Rogan most of the time is exactly that, and I just watch all the big ones. He's been doing a lot of big ones, I think, because the whole Spotify thing that he's doing now to kind of like get hype around it. But yeah, like they're all just stuff I watched because it's 3.5 hours of Joe Rogan talking about bullshit, and just like, yeah, all right, sounds fine.
Apparently, he had like a really. He had the first lady who's ever. Fudge. I think she's the first lady to ever free climb one of the mount. I think Half Dome in Yosemite. I think. So she's like the first lady to ever do that, and so that's like a pretty big interview. So I want to watch that one. Emily something. I don't remember her full name. I also don't remember whether she free climbed it or free soloed it, but whatever. I'm gonna watch that one when I have some time.
Yeah, I still recommend the Kanye one because Kanye is the best person alive. Also, I forgot to mention I've been playing Demon Souls outside of Call of Duty and Terminator. So because I have the PlayStation 5, I got a PlayStation 5. Speaking of consoles and whatever stuff, I've played maybe like 90 minutes of Demon Souls, and I am at the very first, like, the part that you get to when you're 20 minutes into Demon Souls. I'm at that part still, but I'm 90 minutes into Demon Souls. Demon Souls is difficult, and I'm not very good at it. That's my very quick PS5 update.
Is it fun?
Yeah, it's one of those games. Like, you roll and you swing at the right time. That's the game. But
I watched Donkey's YouTube video on it, and I was like, this looks as painful as I imagined it would.
Yeah, it's basically just Dark Souls or whatever, that whole thing. You know, it's the first one of those, so it's interesting because I never played the original Demon Souls. I think I actually did for maybe 30 minutes or so. I got it on GameFly or something. It was like, what the fuck is this? I had very little patience for difficult games at the time, so it was not my thing. But no, it's nice seeing the thing that every other game is now, you know, or that whole like lineage of games, Dark Souls and Sekiro and whatever else. Mm-hmm. But yeah, no, it's just stupid hard, and I'm not that good at it. And between that and like, there's a PS5 controller demo thing that you get when you first like turn it on and you see on your game list. And the PS5 controller is actually really impressive, and I didn't know anything about it before I tried it. And there's weird stuff they do with like the vibration, so you can feel like particles vibrating inside the controller. So like if a dust storm, for example, happens, it feels like a dust storm is happening in your controller type stuff. It's really crazy. Ooh. And the triggers, they're able to add resistance to them. So the thing that they have in the demo is like a jetpack, and so the trigger has like a give to it until you hit this one like inflection point or whatever it is, where you have to really like push pressure on, and then that's when it activates like a jetpack. So the controller is able to add that tension there for when you have to have like it's super cool. So yeah, I've been playing that demo and then Demon Souls, and that's all my PS5 content so far.
Bro, it kills me that I can't play games like that. That sounds so cool.
Yeah. It was really impressive. I had to go get Synovia and show her. She was like mopping the floor or something. I was like, whatever the fuck you're doing, it doesn't matter. You have to come hit this button.
See how hard it is to hit this bumper? She was like, yeah, she was like, really cool. Hard.
Yeah, I don't deserve Synovia. But yeah, that's it. I think for video game stuff for me, I don't really have anything else in terms of that, but I do have a Record Store Day update.
I didn't even know it was Record Store Day.
So because people love selling shit, there can't be just one Record Store Day every year. Now there's like 3. So for the past few years, there's been the Record Store Day in April, the kind of standard one that's the big main one, and then there's another one on Black Friday. And I think there might be another one at some point during the year that they added the past couple of years. I don't know. But the point is, for Black Friday, they did a second junior Record Store Day with less interesting stuff. It's not as big as the first one. And I was thinking I didn't really care. And then I got an email from Zia, local record store in Tucson. And they were like, oh, we have the Kids See Ghosts pink vinyl. And that's the Kid Cudi Kanye West album / group thing that they have. And so I already have that thing on vinyl, but I was like, oh fuck, pink vinyl, need that. So then I was planning on going and lining up at Zia at like 7 a.m. on the day after Thanksgiving. And then I ended up deciding against it because obviously I don't want to do that. That's a terrible idea. And also with everything going on, I don't want to be standing in line with a bunch of people for hours. So we ended up just going at like 9:30 the next morning just to see what it was like, and we stopped in and they had everything like it. Nothing was sold out and everything was available, and we just got it. And we were in and out in like 10 minutes, but I got some rare, hot, limited record store day picks,
Nice.
without any effort because everybody was afraid of going outside.
Nice, dude.
So I have my pink vinyl.
Who's out? I didn't know anyone who was like, yeah, I'm going Black Friday shopping at like 4 o'clock in the morning this year. Everyone's like, I'm eating on Thanksgiving and I'm going home.
Yeah. The past like 5 years or so, I really don't know anybody who goes Black Friday shopping except for Synovia and her family. They do. Obviously this year they didn't because everything was different, but Synovia and I just went to Zia, and everything else, all the shopping we did online and stuff. But I think that's been dead for a while. Like going into stores for the one of the 3 TVs at Best Buy, I don't think that's really that big of a thing anymore.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of stores stopped doing it when people were getting trampled to death in their store.
Yeah. Well, yeah. That kind of makes you cooler, though. It's like you're on the news because someone got trampled.
Lore, Joseph. Best Buy doesn't get cred when like Steve the carpenter gets run over by Nancy the accountant, like, and dies.
I mean, they get news coverage for it, and then Best Buy is like, we sell the hottest products. What are you gonna do?
Yeah, after the police investigation closes the store for a little bit.
Yeah.
The one entrance in and out, and the police have it cordoned off. Like,
yeah, I don't know. Black Friday shopping, I think, is dead. Just like malls. I think malls probably, even before all this year happened, malls were on the way out. Just
yeah.
You
know what? This year, I am kind of bummed out movie theaters dying. I like going and seeing like certain movies in the movie theater.
You can go rent out a movie theater and like have a private event or whatever at a movie theater. You also watch
what's coming out. Like, there is no 1917 that's coming out right now.
I think there is
1917. Oh, is there?
No, not like one of those, but like my mom recently went to a movie theater and watched a new movie. This is she was like a regular thing. She was like, "Yeah, we watched a fucking movie." It's like, okay.
Whoa, okay.
I know.
I didn't know that there was even any new movies coming out.
Yeah. Well, yeah, they're not super. Where would you even hear about it? Like a commercial? But you don't watch anything with commercials.
You're right. Where would I know that?
You have an ad blocker
You're right.
on everything.
I've actually just kneecapped myself.
That's another thing with the internet and bubbles, like we were talking about before. Like, if you don't know what's happening because you don't have the same like stream, like, this is a weird thing, but a stream of advertisements to a group of people collectively like build something in their head, but you don't have that with the internet now. And that's kind of, I mean, it's probably a good thing, but it's weird because you don't know when things like what's going on. You know what I mean? Someone's like, "Hey, you hear about that new Quentin Tarantino movie?" You're just like, "No, I have no fucking idea because I haven't seen an ad in a year."
Yeah, somebody told me there's a new Wonder Woman coming out, and I was like, "Oh, what? Really?"
No. Yeah,
and I liked the first one, so.
I was gonna say, who gives a shit, but maybe you do.
I like the first one. I'm gonna watch the second one. Listen, I'm pretty exhausted about superhero movies in general, but they're like some that I really enjoyed that I'd like to see continuations of. Basically, my favorite superheroes I want to go and see more of.
I don't even think I have that. Like, I just don't care at all. I don't want to see anything with superpowers for a while. I'm over it.
I feel like they really messed up by making them all like the same. I think that they were missing like some side stories. Like, I was watching Jessica Jones. That's what I was watching, and on Netflix, and it really reminded me of like film noir with like the way some of the episodes are structured.
Mm-hmm.
And like a lot of the episodes really like lean into like those old timey, like the detective who sits at their desk and drinks whiskey and like their life is a wreck, because that's Jessica Jones. She sits at her desk, drinks whiskey, and her life is a wreck. And then like that's like the whole premise of the show. And like but yeah, I don't know. Like, I think that they should have done more like that, where like you could have horror movies with superheroes, with not like the main superheroes, but you could have horror movies with superpowers. You could have like psychological thrillers. You could have scary story, or I said scary stories. You could have like, you know, the standard superhero stories or whatever. Like you could have like a lot of different stuff.
Yeah.
Instead of giving him a gun, give him a superpower, you know? Like,
and a gun.
Hell yeah, dude. Literally, like, some of the superheroes, like, are messed up. And, like, I think you could have some cool stories with that.
Yeah. But then they also made those, like, 25 Marvel movies, and they all made $1 trillion. So it's like, well, would making a cool, deep, you know, suspenseful romance Deadpool movie, like, would that pay off? Probably not.
I guess. I don't know. One of my favorite movies from the Marvel universe is the Captain America. I don't remember if it's Winter Soldier or Civil War, but like a lot of the scenes in that movie like pull on old spy movies. And I really like some old, like some of the old spy movies have like some stuff in them that isn't appropriate for today, but like I like the vibe that they have about them sometimes. Like, yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I haven't seen like half of those Marvel movies, so I'm not really sure. But just in general, I'm kind of burnt out on superheroes. There was that Avengers video game that came out like a couple months ago that everybody hated for some reason or something. That's the only knowledge I have about any superhero goings on.
I didn't even know that was happening.
Yeah. Again, bubbles. No one has any idea what's going on in 2020. What fucking month is it? Who has any idea? No one knows.
I do what next month is.
Yeah. Do you have anything else before we go on to home game stuff?
No. Just how's your Thanksgiving, man?
Oh, it was good. I had 4 of them. I had 4 Thanksgivings. We had my family's Thanksgiving. We had Synovia and mine, just the 2 of us Thanksgiving. We had our Friendsgiving, and then we had Thanksgiving at her family's house. So I'm not eating turkey again for a very long time.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
This was our first Thanksgiving at my house, and Dog was very excited. She was too excited, and there was a baby and Dog, and it was just a wild ride. And then Dog ate something and threw up in the middle of the night, or woke me up to go throw up in the middle of the night.
Cool.
So I don't know what she ate, but
did you just host, or did you cook too?
I always help my mom cook. Basically, like Thanksgiving is me and my mom cook, and this year I hosted as well.
So what did you cook?
And my mom and I cook. I mean, we just make, my grandmother actually is the one who prepares the turkey, but then we have this like roasted vegetable dish, and she makes a green bean thing for my brother, and fried rice for us, and mashed potatoes. I make the gravy alone. What else do we make? My brother makes like a pumpkin mousse, which is my favorite dessert. I'm trying to remember all the. Yeah, we make like quite a bit of stuff, like cornbread and stuff like that, and like little rolls and things.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was pretty involved. We were busy from Wednesday because I took Wednesday off, and then Thursday morning up until like literally when people showed up, we were busy in the kitchen.
Nice. And besides the dog throwing up, was it like stressful and weird or whatever? Was it all smooth?
I mean, it was very different, right? Because like normally there is no dog, so it's just me and my mom in the kitchen, and the kitchen is small. And the other thing too is like when I was staying with my mom, I didn't cook that often, so I didn't necessarily know where everything is or goes. And now it's in my house, and I have places where I'm like, this goes here, this goes there. My mom doesn't care about that when she's cooking, and so it was just like I'd open a drawer, there was like, here's my chef's knife in the drawer with the spoons, and I'd be like, no, this doesn't go here, and I have to go put it back. And the thing too is like my mom is, and she gets stressed and I also get stressed, but when we both get stressed, it becomes like there's like some tension there between us.
Yeah.
We get stressed that we immediately like butt heads. So it was definitely like a load balancing effort of like, I need to be like, we're both stressed obviously, but like one of us needs to give here and there to like make this work. Yeah.
Would you do it again? Like, are you hosting next year, or is it a one-time deal?
No, I like hosting. The other thing too is like my kitchen's huge in comparison to my mom's kitchen, right? Like my kitchen's much more open, so it doesn't get as like hot and stuffy working on the oven, and I have a lot more counter space and like all that stuff. Yeah. And I know when you come to my house looks like a train wreck normally, but like I cleaned it like deep cleaned it before all of this happened. So
Nice.
There was limited dog hair and stuff everywhere.
So does that mean that you got a dining room table?
I did get a dining room table.
And you didn't tell me? There's a huge decision. Is it real wood?
Huh?
Is it real wood?
It's a wooden base, and the base is made up of like 2 ovals, and then the countertop is glass.
Very nice.
Yes.
That sounds classy.
It is. I like it a lot. The reason I went with ovals was to try to break up the hard edges of the rest of my house. But honestly, it's black and see-through. So, and the chairs are black leather with like chrome legs. So it's like, it very much is just, it doesn't take away from the hard edges of my house at all.
Yeah, it sounds a future classy, which I would think would describe your vibe.
Thank you. I'm trying to round stuff out in my house a little bit because I feel like my house, when you walk in, it's just like so stark with like hard edges everywhere, and there's nothing really to like. There's no smooth element to my home, and I don't know how to add one. So
just add beanbag chairs everywhere.
I have the little like poofs that you can sit on. No one sits on them because everyone else has bad knees apparently. My grandmother was like, I'm not sitting on those. And I was like, why? And she said that she could never get up or down. She was like, I can't sit down deep enough to sit on those. And I'd never be able to get up on my own. And I was like, okay, well, you get to couch then.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't have a design aesthetic for our house. It's just add another PlayStation in it, you know? Whatever. Throw that shit over there.
PlayStation plus plant equals home.
Yeah, pretty much. We went and bought this new plant over the weekend. There's a dude here in town who like opened up his front yard to sell plants in it. Like he just grows these plants and sells them out of his house, and that's his business. Mm-hmm. So it's very like hipstery Tucson, like I have a succulent guy type thing. But we went this weekend, and Zenobia bought this tree that's like as tall as me, and apparently it was a big deal. The guy was like, "Oh man, you're getting a real smoking deal on this one. You know, it's a big deal. It's a big thing. This is one of the tree things." And in my head, I was like, "Fuck it, I have no idea what's going on." It's like this looks like every one of the other trees, but it's a big like stocky plant. It's in our house now. That's our decor. You know. Yeah.
Is it doing okay?
I don't know. She kills so many plants. I have no idea if this one's going to be okay.
Oh, no.
She has like an app that she uses to track all of her plants, and one of them is one of the parts of it is the graveyard. So you like when a plant dies, you send it to the graveyard, and her graveyard is huge.
Rip, dude.
No, she's doing great. This one's going to survive. It's going to be awesome.
Right on. You ready to move on to home game stuff?
Yes, home game stuff. So, I have some updates. I have a ton of updates. Did you want to talk about color tag stuff first, or did you want me to blast all of my everything first?
Let me start with color tag, just so we can get out of the way. And basically, like what happened this week was I went through and figured out where I left off because I was sick like for a while, and I just didn't do anything for home games. So I looked through it all, figured out where I left off. I had finished the modal for color tag, so right now it's about terrain generation because I wanted to add in like, how do I explain, like terrain, like basically like sections of the map that you can't enter as a player. Mm-hmm. So like in like static terrain, literally like terrain. And I just needed to figure out like a way of adding terrain without blocking off parts of the map, if that makes sense. Like, because people are spawning in random spots, and I didn't want it to like you spawn in the upper right hand corner and you're the tagger, but there's no way out of the upper right hand corner. It's like, how do I do that?
You know, a hot algo to make sure that every space can be left.
Be exited. Yeah. Basically, I need to make like a maze runner almost. So that's what I was contemplating deeply where I left off this week of like, well, this is what I need. So I was going to start poking around and maybe looking online to see if people had some suggestions for it.
Yeah, I'm thinking probably a BFS approach instead of a DFS. You know, you want to get that pathfinding algo to use a queue instead of a stack or whatever the fuck.
Well, we do want
I'm joking. I have no idea.
queue. The idea would be to make. Well, that is static, right? So that wouldn't move. But the movements for this game are very similar to. I basically I stripped out the section from Square and then like brought it up to speed with regular home game stuff for collision detection.
Yeah.
But it still uses that same queue idea from that game.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I just meant the maze runner thing that we did in school. That was just BFS, right?
What is a BFS?
Breadth first search.
Oh, yes. Sorry. Yes. Breadth versus depth. Yeah, I need to do something like that because I don't really care to find. I don't really like care to find things. So I just need to make sure that everyone can move.
Yeah.
Can exit any section of the map or enter any section of the map.
Yeah. Very cool. I guess. What branch are you on? Are you on Master? Or are you on, are you based on Master, I mean, or are you on something else that's older?
I am based on Master.
Okay. That's good.
Did you make changes?
No. Okay. No. Because I think I had some stuff in another branch when I was working on my clicker game, and I think there was some stuff there, but I kind of left that where it was because I switched over to the HTTPS stuff. So I think you should be good based on Master. Also, I created a new repo for the certificate generation service, and it's just called Certifier. And I realized that on GitHub, they changed the terminology. Like the default branch it creates for you is no longer called Master, it's called Main. So that's like their thing of, it's like inclusive language and tech stuff or whatever. Like you can't use the words master or slave or whatever. So I just thought it was interesting that GitHub kind of just silently did that. And now that so the main branch of Certifier is what I'm working on. Also, your video froze again. I have no idea if you're even still there. Yeah, so okay, my Certifier service that I'm talking about. So it's called Certifier, certificate generation, whatever thing. I had a setup last week where I had the Home Games IO website on the back end was talking to AWS, and that was doing this whole DNS record creation thing in Route 53, and it was doing certificate generation stuff with AWS Cert Manager and all this stuff. This was my thinking was people provide their authenticated credentials, whatever, for their username to this piece of code, and then this says, okay, do you have a certificate already generated in AWS Cert Manager? And if you don't, I will create one, and if you do, I will retrieve it. And that was the way I had it. In my head, I thought retrieval meant get the certificate and the key, because the way that the whole thing works is it's a pair. You have a certificate that says, hey, I am, this person, and I use this certificate to encrypt my data, and only the key can decrypt it. I don't know how anything works in cryptography or the security part of this, but basically you need both. You need the certificate and you need the key. The certificate encrypts, the key decrypts, and only the person with the key can decrypt, and that's what makes this whole thing secure, and it's a big deal to have this key private and all this other stuff. So the fact that AWS was giving me retrieval was really, really nice because we didn't have to store these certificates anywhere. Mm-hmm. We never actually even got them. We just gave them to the users and the requests and whatever. So when I finally got to the point where I was finalizing the service and I started calling the get certificate API in AWS Cert Manager, I realized it just gives you the certificate, not the private key. And that's the entire point of Cert Manager, because Cert Manager uses, it's for resources within AWS infrastructure. I can give this certificate, or I can give access to this certificate to this instance, this function, this whatever, these resources. But Home Games instances are just servers run by people on their laptops. These are not AWS resources, and we cannot give them IAM access roles in AWS because they're not AWS resources, and we can't do that. Mm-hmm. So we were not able at all to use AWS Cert Manager because we don't have the private key. So I spent 2 days setting up this service only to realize that I had no idea what the fuck I was doing. So I was like,
Aw.
well, cool. So I have to stop using this. And I went back to my first idea, which was the certbot thing, the Let's Encrypt certbot, running that thing on some process and parsing the standard output from there. After a long journey there, basically ended up standing up another EC2 instance running this certifier service, and it's publicly available over HTTPS, but whatever. And you can request it, and it'll say, hey, I don't have a place to store these certificates yet, so I don't have retrieval, I don't have anything, whatever. I just say I'm going to create a certificate for you based on your username using certbot. And the certbot thing has a dry run mode where you don't have to actually put out, you don't actually create any certificates or keys, which is good because there's rate limits and stuff on there, and I don't want to hit them while I'm testing. So that's all it's doing right now is just creating them with the dry run, but it's parsing all the output correctly. It's agreeing to the terms of service automatically, like a robot is agreeing to the terms of service and all that kind of stuff. So basically my robot is talking to this other script and then just parsing all the output and then getting all the things it needs and saying, yes, I created a certificate for you. It has to create a DNS record in Route 53 to like prove that we own the domain. So it'll like run the certbot command. The certbot command puts out a DNS challenge. The service then gets that DNS challenge, creates the record in Route 53, waits for that record to be created, and then tells certbot it did that, and then it goes and deletes that record. So it does that whole challenge creation and deletion thing automatically. And yeah, like I said, at the moment, it'll just respond to requests, do a dry run, and that's all. I need to finish that and make it so it actually creates a certificate and gives it back to you. The tricky thing is we do need to store these certificates somewhere. We do need to support retrieval because basically a user needs this certificate on their home games instance. This user hypothetically could delete this certificate from their local thing and they would need to get it again. If we don't store things to be retrieved later, then they couldn't get it again. They would have to generate a new one. And if they had to generate a new one, then like I said earlier, we would be hitting these rate limits pretty quickly because we would basically be generating multiple per person, and it wouldn't be really like fair, I guess, because one person could be eating up a lot of our resources doing this. And it's also in the certbot like guidance text, it tells you basically because this whole thing is free and you need to be kind of aware of the resources that you're using when you do this, it's best to have like a good way to store them in instead of just creating them all the time from us. I'm thinking because the actual use case for this is like hosting, like I have a server, I have a website, and I need to create this certificate once and do this every 3 months or something. Not exactly what we're doing, which is creating them for everybody who signs up for an account on our thing. So the idea of like having them stored in a stable place or whatever is not really the same thing because it's not just on our hard drive or on an SSD or on a USB drive. It's like we're providing them as a service basically. So I think it makes sense to have some sort of way to store these. And at the moment I have a setup where we create the certificates. The service will then store it encrypted in S3. And the only thing that can decrypt the data is the certifier service because it has the IAM role permission stuff in AWS. So it stores stuff encrypted and it gets stuff out decrypted, but it is the only one that has access to do that. So hypothetically, if someone got access to our S3 bucket, they can download everybody's certs, but it would all be encrypted. Mm-hmm. And then what else? Yeah, we would have to be able to retrieve them as well, and just that whole thing. And then renewing them is a whole other thing. We would have to be able to, check the validity of a certain certificate to make sure everything is good. Anyway, it all seems possible. It's just a big pain in the ass. I have to, like I said, parse CLI output and figure out how to safely store SSL certificates and keys, which is like, if you try to Google around for information, everything is like, don't fucking do this. You're doing this wrong. And in my head, I'm like, no, I know. but I'm not doing what you think I'm doing. Because it is weird. It's not.
It's not the typical use for those certs.
Yes, and it's not like. So if someone got the certificate for homegames.link, it would be pretty bad, because people would be able to run servers and then say that they're homegames.link and be believed. If someone says, I am Yazeed.homegames.link, the risk is much smaller. It's still not great that someone could lie hypothetically and say that they're Yazeed, but we're not doing a lot of like crazy stuff with the data between like the actual home games instances. You're not putting your bank info in a home games instance, hopefully. Yet.
Then we build Monopoly, but it's real money.
Yes.
You tie your bank account or like a credit card to it. And your friends, when they land on Boardwalk, owe you $400 real US dollars.
Yes, that's one day we'll get there with our technology. But at the moment, we just have shitty, busted SSL certificates. Mm-hmm. But no, my what I'm saying is, we need to be very secure and whatever, be very careful with the stuff that we're generating and how we do this. But also, the risk, if something were to happen, that risk is not super crazy, because you're just able to run home games as somebody. You know what I mean? It's not like you're able to run home games as you or whatever. And I was going to say something else. Oh, and it also opens up the thing. Remember we talked about encrypting data, Twitter API keys and stuff going to the home games game server? That would actually work now, because that data is encrypted with their certificate and key or whatever stuff. So you wouldn't be able to just run Wireshark or something and get people's Twitter API keys.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking, is that once that's done, I can finish up the Twitter who tweeted that tweet game. That's kind of like what that game was waiting on anyway, because it was at a point where it was like...
well, didn't you need it? Wasn't it going to be in your config or something?
Well, yeah, the way I was originally going to do it was that it was going to be in the .json file, but the problem we ran into was, if somebody was running the executables, how do they add it into the how do they make a .json file for it to read?
Well, you can still reference a path outside of the binary. You can say, hey, binary, look here.
Yeah, but then how were we gonna tell them like make it here? That was like the odd part about it. But yeah, I got it to work with it on the server, and I think that ultimately what I want is for people to get like a prompt, like the host to get like a prompt that says like, hey, you need to store your Twitter API like username and password here, and then we're good to go. So could you do that, please? And they type it in, and it goes, and the server itself stores it somewhere where it can retrieve it, so that it has it for later use, because it just needs to staple those two together with a colon and then send those off to Twitter as its credentials.
Yeah, we should still make it so you can put that stuff
in a config file.
The file directly, yeah, but it's not that big of a deal. But yeah, anyway, it's a possible thing. Also, if we ever needed to be like, oh yeah, well, you have your API key, but everybody playing needs to like sign in to get a Twitter session or whatever for this game, so then they would be able to do that too. Basically, we have the ability to do HTTPS stuff in home games, which actually is like an unintended benefit of what I was doing here, which is pretty nice.
And yeah, we're one step away from real life Monopoly, and that's really what I'm gonna make now. Talk about the game of life, and when you fail, it actually just deducts money from your checking account.
That's the real immersive gaming experience we're all waiting for. I was gonna say something else. So I was trying to look into other ways to deploy the certifier service, and so I was looking into two different things. I was looking into setting up ECS, which is the thing that allows you, it's an elastic container service. So I'm able to create a Docker file or something like that, and then give it to Amazon and say, hey, I have a cluster of instances and I want to allocate Docker containers to these instances. And ideally I want this many of this container, this many of this container running and talking to each other and whatever, right?
Oh, does it do like load balancing and stuff too?
Well, so ECS is just the deployment and kind of the containers themselves. You can then set up load balancers to talk to these target groups, I believe. There's like a whole bunch of terminology and specific weird stuff. So basically, I looked into this to setting up the certifier thing with Docker. Realized one thing on the new Macs with the Apple Silicon CPUs, they don't run Docker. Docker doesn't work for it at the moment. It's some weird thing. Like if you go to look up Docker for the new Mac, you get this like blog post from them. They're just like, we're working on it. So at the moment, I don't think I can get Docker running on my Mac, which makes it very hard for me to do anything with Docker. So I had to then, using my EC2 instance for, I think it was homegames.io, I SSH into that, installed Docker, and then got that whole thing running to test Docker stuff. So then I was developing the Docker file and building up the Docker image and all this stuff on the actual EC2 instance, and then I was just trying to figure out how to get everything working with ECS, and I kind of hit a wall there. I got a load balancer created, I got the stuff deployed, but then I had to like create the instances myself, and I had no idea what was going on. I was like, I don't care. I'm just going to do this the way I know that works, because I spent like 4 hours setting up ECS on Saturday or something, and I didn't want to keep going. So I just set up another instance, an EC2 instance running the service, and set up a DNS record to point certifier.homegames.link at this instance, and that's what that is. So that's what that service is doing. I also looked into Lambda. That whole thing there was you'd have, you just basically have the function there, and you don't have to worry about the servers that it's running on. You just set up like an API gateway thing, and you have the API gateway talk to the Lambda. And the whole promise of Lambda is that you don't have to worry about the servers that your stuff is running on, which is cool, until you have to remember that it is still running on some sort of hardware, and that is a reality of it. Mm-hmm. So the way that the certifier thing works is that it needs certbot, which is like a system level dependency that you would get with like apt or yum or something like that on the package manager for your given distribution. So I was like, okay, well then I would need certbot installed, and then part of like my Lambda bundle, which is basically just a zip that you give of your code and all of its dependencies. And I was like, okay, well, Lambda, you don't have to think about your servers, but since it's running Amazon Linux on these servers, here's how you have to get certbot. You basically have to use Docker or some other way to get access to an Amazon Linux instance from the command line, download these dependencies using your package manager, and then get those files and then put them into the Lambda deployment. But you basically need something running Amazon Linux to build something for Lambda, because Lambda runs on Amazon Linux. But don't worry about servers, except for all this. And so I was looking into setting all that stuff up, and I think Lambda is running on Amazon Linux 2012, which I believe is like based off of Red Hat 6 or something, but then Amazon Linux 2 is the new Amazon Linux, and I don't think that's based off of Red Hat. I think it's a proprietary Amazon-made Linux distribution. So certbot doesn't work on Amazon Linux 2, but it does work on Amazon Linux 2012. But because Lambda is running on Amazon Linux 2012, in the future, if it was Amazon Linux 2, then we'd be fucked and we couldn't get certbot. So then I didn't do the Lambda stuff because I couldn't get certbot running in a consistent way as part of the deployment bundle. It's a whole mess. I spent so much time just doing all this shit this past weekend. But anyway, I looked into those things, and I ended up setting it up the way I've set up everything else. I still need to do work to figure out. I'm pretty sure Docker and ECS is the way to do it. I just didn't want to put in the time to set that stuff up this weekend.
Yeah, you know who might know though is Alex. That is his job. He might actually be able to help you there. I have no idea.
Maybe I have used ECS before, and I know what I need to do. It's one of those things where it's like I put in all this time to get to a point where I realized that I needed to put however many more hours in it before I could maybe get it working. And instead of doing that, I said, fuck this. I know I'm going to put in an hour and a half and I'll get something working instead of maybe 3 more hours. So it was one of those decisions. But
yeah.
Listen,
you ate 4 turkeys,
is
so I understand.
Yeah. The point is I have a service up and running, and it's almost working. And another added plus side of this whole thing is, like, last week I talked about the cost of AWS Cert Manager, and it was 75 cents a certificate. Well, now the cost is nothing, so that's good. Like, it's free.
Hey.
Yeah.
Hey.
So the only problem is rate limits. And I think I said this last week with Amazon too, but if we hit the rate limit, then we can request more, if we have 50 certs a week, we can probably be like, hey, we need 500 a week or whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That makes sense. I mean, it'd be pretty sick if we got 50 certs a week. That would mean that 50 new people were joining every week consistently.
Yeah, that would be ideal. And if it weren't just me testing 50 times, Joseph test plus 49 at homegames.io.
That would be less ideal, I think.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't like that so much. But yeah, that's where I'm at there. Scrapped a bunch of work, started up a bunch of work. The service is called Certifier. GitHub.com/homegamesio/certifier. There's code there.
Nice job though, man. Like you legitimately were like, wow, this is not working, and then you came up with another solution while eating a lot of food. So I'm very impressed. Good job, man.
Yeah, I had a lot of pie, a lot of whiskey. This weekend there was a lot of whiskey.
It was whiskey business.
Yes, whiskey business indeed.
Does whiskey go well with turkey? I don't know.
I feel like it does. I feel like it belongs in November. I feel like it's a November thing. Therefore, it has to go with other November things. So whiskey's a November thing. Turkey's a November thing. They go together.
Are you going to drink whiskey in December then? Or are you going to shelf it?
I think December is like a scotch. I would say November was like a bourbon. So yeah, it's still whiskey, but like it's a different whiskey.
I don't know anything about whiskey, so this is all information to me. Whiskey is the one where you put the huge oversized circle of like sphere of ice into it, right?
You could, yeah. I have one of those. Synovia, I think, or someone got me the circle ice molds. They're pretty nice.
Have you used it?
Yeah, it's cool. The problem is when you put ice in your whiskey and it's a lot of ice, you have a time limit to drink it because it'll be watered down before whatever. That's why the dense circles are the best because they melt slow.
Okay, I see. And that's why they have like whiskey rocks, which is just like a thing that gets cold in the freezer, right?
Yeah, they have like the glasses with stones and stuff built in. So you put the whole glass in the freezer and then pour whiskey on that, and then it makes it colder, but it doesn't dilute it.
Why do you want to drink whiskey cold?
I don't know. I don't really like ice or whatever in my whiskey, so I can't speak to that.
So do you drink yours warm?
Not warm. I mean like room temperature. I'm not like microwaving my whiskey. You're frozen again, by the way.
I was saying that I think it'd be an amazing thing to reveal is that Joseph sticks his whiskey in the oven at 350 for 2 minutes before he drinks it.
It really brings out the spices, the floral notes.
Yeah, the notes of cedar and oak.
Yeah.
The barrel it was kept in or whatever they aged it in.
Yes.
Or is that something else?
No, that's whiskey. That's correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are you ready to move on to Song of the Week then?
Song of the Week. You go first.
So, your Song of the Week this week was... Wait. Yeah, this is the correct order. Your Song of the Week this week was Lil Yachty featuring Playboi Carti and Future called Flex Up.
Yeah, that is correct.
I like all of the little yeah, like all over the place. I really do like that in hip hop. Like that's probably my favorite part of a lot of rap songs. But one of the lines in there when he said it, I was just like, damn. And the line is, The previous line is talking about how like some dude's lady, I think, called the police or like snitched, and he says, the rapper boy says, "My bitch, she know better. She do that and she might die." And I was like, he's threatening like his lady.
Yeah, I realized that line was in the song after I sent the song, and then when you posted that line, I started laughing because I forgot it was in there. That's a questionable line for sure. This is the same man who brought you "She Blow My Dick Like a Cello." You know, he's not known for his
Jesus,
his lyrical ability.
We gotta either teach that man about instruments or teach her that she's doing it wrong, dude. Like, one of those two things are true. The song's okay. It's definitely not like my thing, but I definitely did like all the little like ad libs and stuff. And also the like chorus is funny, where it's like flex up, stretch out, whoa, yeah. And it's like the next time it would be something else. Like, yeah. I like that.
Yeah, Playboi Carti is like a master of that stuff, where he just adds little 1 or 2 syllable things, like noises in the back of the song, to just add a lot more energy to it.
On one of those, does he just say the word homicide a couple of times?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. I couldn't tell if he was saying homicide or suicide, so I was like...
Yeah, it's homicide.
One of those is, I think, worse than the other, but...
Well, I'm glad you got something out of that song. I thought it was a lot of fun. That's from Lil Yachty's Lil Boat 3.5 album that came out this past week.
Dang. You've been really killing it with the, like, funny rap. Like, I don't think it's supposed to be funny, but it's like, amusing.
Yeah, it's like kind of cartoonish in some of it, in some ways. I don't know. It's a fun song. I kind of struggled finding my song of the week this week, but that was a very clear highlight of the week for sure. Your song of the week was Carrion?
Carrion? Yeah, like a dead corpse.
Oh, I thought it was like a play on Carry On. Like,
it is a play on Carry On, but I believe it's pronounced Carrion.
Okay, by Parkway Drive. This is a song that is not like other songs you've recommended. This song has men screaming over guitars on it. I liked it quite a bit. No idea what anybody said. I really don't have an easy time hearing screaming, like understanding screaming, but no, I don't know. It was cool. This is the type of music that I don't know anything about. I just appreciate it. It's so crazy to me that one day someone decided to just fucking lose their mind and start yelling over loud instruments, and that became a thing. So yeah.
Yeah, I like Parkway Drive is probably the only one I'll still listen to these days, but they're very like, they're a little bit different. Like, if you listen to the opening of Carry On, it's like you don't think immediately that it's going to be as high aggression as it is. I think like the first few seconds of that song are like, okay, it's like typical Yazeed stuff, and then like it skyrockets pretty quick.
Yeah, there's a bit of a drop.
Yeah. I mean, I was listening to it while I was like in the middle of like deep into like sacrificing people in Stellaris. So like, I need something that's like as high tempo as like I'm playing at. So that's kind of like why that song is the song of the week. But yeah, it's I like Parkway Drive in general is fun because they're definitely like surfer boys, and they're like a lot of their songs kind of like, I wouldn't say like reference that they're surfer boys, but it's definitely like a lot of their like songs have some of that like surfer boy hippie vibe to it underneath all the yelling and screaming and guitars and stuff.
It's like a hardcore surfing USA, you know? Same type of content, a little bit different energy.
Well, they have a song called they have 2 songs. One's called Wild Eyes and one's called Dark Days, and both of those songs like together are about how like one of the lines in that song is straight up like, how are you gonna tell your, like, I'm not paraphrasing, I'm like expanding on it, but it's like, how do you tell your kids that you sacrificed the planet for money. Basically, it's like how do you tell kids that like global warming is real, like, and we knew about it and didn't do anything about it. It's like I like stuff like that. Like they're definitely like you wouldn't imagine that when you listen to their songs. I'll put it that way.
They have another one where it's like first person perspective of like a cow, and then you realize that the cow is going to be a burger. And it's just like, how do you tell your kids that the burger used to be a cow? Like if you cry every time.
Like if you cry every time. No, a lot of their songs are usually have like an actual like underlying message to them, but it definitely is hard to get to. If I'm not mistaken, Carrion is like
my man froze again.
Yo,
my man is all the way frozen.
Skinny penis. I can see Joseph 100%. He's touching his face, rubbing his eyes and nose.
Now I can hear and see you.
Mulan thing. Oh, okay. All right. I needed to explain what you're doing. But I think was the magic here.
Well, editing this is going to suck big ass because this has happened like 5 or 6 times. So, yeah.
Yeah, I was saying that I was trying to tell you that it's probably a good thing that we recorded today instead of tomorrow because I can't imagine how stressed you would be having to do all of this in like 4 hours.
Less than that, I would have, and it would be like, oh, fuck it, no edits, just put it up. The audio isn't synced to the video. Just gotta get it up. All right, I think that's it. We're good.
Okay, all right. I legitimately have no clue what we're talking about.
Oh, I think we just finished Song of the Week, so that's pretty much it. So
why not?
Yeah, maybe we should just wrap it up because Discord doesn't want us to keep talking.
That's right. Let's wrap it up like a Christmas present.
Ooh.
Getting the holiday spirit one day early. All right, everybody. Thanks for listening. As always, our music was done by our friend Tynan or Nightan at Nightan on Bandcamp. You can catch us on Twitter at homegames.io, all one word, or on our website at homegames.io. I think that's all for us.
Yes, thank you for listening. Thank you for putting up with our audio garbage and freezing garbage and general garbage. Thank you. We'll see you next week.
Bye-bye.